Hey guys, what's going on? We are now showing the new lounge, first ever pilot beginning episode 1. It is called The New Lounge. Enter the man cave with
Welcome,
my
welcome,
guy,
welcome, welcome.
Rican Ranger. Yeah, we're welcoming you guys here. We also have somebody else that will be joining us later. And we've got lots of fun and excitement and biff, bang, pow, just like old school Batman. We'll be talking about comics, life, cookies, everything else. You name it, we'll be doing it. We're going to
All
be
the
talking
goods.
about a variety of things. Nothing is off the table here. We discuss it. We talk about it. You guys can leave comments. You can respond. You can whatever. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but we're going to be doing it all here. That's how crazy this show is. We're going to be crazy. We're going to be talking about everything. So we got some comic book stuff we're going to be going through today that we think is really interesting. Not regular comic book stories. These are scandal stories about actors that played superheroes. And the first thing we're going to be talking about, the very first, is our guy, George Reeve, who is known as the second original Superman. Everybody wants to refer to him as the first was actually Kirk Allen, and the second was George Reeve. Not Christopher Reeve. He comes later. He's next. George Reeve. And we all know the tragedy around George Reeve, and we're going to be talking about it. My guy Rican is going to kick us off, and I'm going to jump in. Rican, what do you got?
Well, guys, welcome to the new lounge, aka the man cave. Okay. Renee, after round done gave us the keys. Right, Drew? She done gave us the keys,
Yes,
man.
that's true.
So that's what's going down. Basically, she gave us some time to take the floor and try to give you guys a show based on comics, culture, media, everything that's going on. There's nothing off limits in the lounge. You heard Drewski. So basically, we're gonna go from Power Rangers to Marvel to DC to indie titles, movies, music, any type of media. We might feature some guests to come through the man cave. This is the new man show. This is where we put our feet up, grab a beer, roll your blunts, and come hang out, come chill. All right, we're gonna be setting off the Rumble, basically weekly, right, Drew? I think so.
Yeah, we're going to be here
Let's see
weekly.
how well it
Every weekly
does. If
show.
you guys are really responsive with sending stuff in, good questions, good content, we'll keep them coming. So we do. Should we do it now, Drew? I do want to introduce the leader of the Pog Patrol. We're working on your badge, right?
Ah,
Got to get that going. So Drew is gonna,
absolutely.
with his law enforcement background, he's gonna be covering all types of comedy and intricate news when it comes to being Buffy the White Girl Slayer.
That's
So
true.
Pog Patrol on deck.
That's
We're gonna get
right.
into some funny stuff. And now this Adam West situation, Drew.
Oh
You pull
boy,
up a
you want to
chair.
get into Adam West first? Or you want to do George? What
Once,
do you want?
let me drop the bar. Once you go back, you never go back, right?
Hey, that's right. That's
That's what they
right.
say.
That's
So
right.
without further ado, tell us what was going on, right? I think we should start with this one. I know we said Superman, right?
Yeah,
But that's just a highlight, right? So we got Superman and Batman. We could do either one. Once you go
absolutely.
back, you never go back. We got some crazy stuff going on with the old Adam West. Is it 66 Batman?
Correct. We
Right?
are talking about 66 Batman. We're talking directly. Adam West is in it to play the original Batman, but really the story has to do with both, but it really more sits with Burt Ward because he was the one that really ended up in a crazy spot. Adam was there, but he kind of could get out, a little bit over here. So we're talking
So
about
who
Adam
knew?
West, Burt Ward, Batman and Robin, 1966. This is Eartha Kitt. This is Julie Newmar. This is Lee Merriweather. This is Frank Gorsha. This is Cesar Romero. This is Burgess Meredith.
Old school.
Old school. We're going all the way in.
Well, check
This is
this
what
out.
we're
I
going to be doing.
guess DC
John
had a
Aston.
thing for the ladies back in the day, Drew. So Batman kind of had its own little brothel situation going on within the show,
Yes.
which was news to me. So Drew was dropping the knowledge all day before we got on the show. So, and then George Reeves apparently was out here. Was it other people's wives? You know
Yeah,
what I
there's a
mean?
whole
Stuff like
story
that.
about that. Yeah, we got to get into
So
that,
let's
buddy.
kind of stay tuned to the juicy. Drew's gonna go into the stories about what happened with both of these situations, with the old school Superman and old school Batman. There was some controversy behind the cameras, behind the scenes. So if you're a fan of the old school superhero stuff, we're gonna start with that. So along with a little bit of Battle of the Bulge that has to do with the Robin situation. As you see, Drew's got the attire fitted for the situation. So Drew, tell everybody what's going on in the comic book scene back in the 60s, man, with all the freakazoids, man.
Okay.
Where you
Let's
what are
get
we
to it,
missing?
guys. Let me set the tone just right. We're in 1966. It's a hot summer, right? We're going through 66, moving up to 67. The show's a hit. It's popular. Batman is crazy. Everybody wants to be Adam West. Everybody wants to be Burt Ward. Everybody wants to hang
Ladies,
out with
man.
Catwoman. Everybody's loving the show. Number one show, right? But behind closed doors,
The real kryptonite, Drew.
there's a secret that Burt Ward and Adam West
Oh man.
don't want you to know, because these guys were American icons. And they were,
Right.
hey, boys and girls, brush your teeth, eat your vegetables, say your prayers, right? So everybody's thinking, yay, Batman, pow, good time. But behind closed doors, guys, they loved the ladies a little bit too much. And they were married too at the time.
Right.
That was the thing about it. So let's get to it. Enough of the hints and smoke and mirrors. Here we go, guys. So Burt Ward and Adam West were a hit in the show. The ladies loved him, and they would get a lot of fan mail, right? So these ladies started to write addresses and phone numbers and talk about, we want to meet you at thus and so hotel at thus and so at night. So they would show up at night, these women, who a lot of them were married to, would show up to these rendezvous meetings at these exclusive hotels, and they would meet with Adam West and Burt Ward. And sometimes in one day they'd see 5, 6 women hook up with them, guys.
Yeah, like Batman freak offs, man.
Yeah, they would even do things like where they were on set
No Diddy.
in their trailers, they would be hooking up with chicks. And sometimes one chick would come in and be like, Adam, put on the Batman suit. You got to put on that Batman suit. And he'd put on the cowl and the cape and do his thing, and one leave, right? And then 20 minutes later, they'd be like, Adam, I just wanted to come by and see you. He's freshening up, have another one come in. And this is taping the show. And at night, man, the freaks came out because they would have women lined up for days. Married,
by the
single,
bat.
young, old. They had them all, both of them. And let me get to the story. So young Burt Ward was just slaying it back in the day. That's what he was doing. He was completely slaying these girls, right? And he had this real pretty young girl, man, young thing that he came by to see him. And he went and he slayed this girl. And her husband had found these letters because they had hooked up before and she kept coming back, right? So her husband showed up to the hotel, found out exactly where it was, showed up, ready to beat up and shoot everything in between. So Burt Ward had found out and was like, oh, shoot. So he let Adam West know, who was down the hall with some other chick. And he said, don't worry, buddy. We're Batman and Robin. I got your back. He leaned out the door. And Adam West is not a short dude. But he said this guy looked like he was 7 feet tall. He was like, listen, that guy is huge. I can't take that guy. If I were you, I jump out I get out the window and get out of the hotel as soon as you can. So he finds a room. He starts beating on the door, like, let me in. He's trying to, I know what you guys are doing. He's doing the whole 9 yards, right? And Adam's like, dude, you better get out. Get out. So Burt, he's realizing, man, I don't have any clothes on. And the girl goes, I don't have any clothes on either. Well, if we get caught, it's going to be bad. So they jump out of the window with no clothes on, book it across the street, and try to hide out from this guy. They manage to get away for now, but they don't forget that night that maybe, just maybe, Adam and Burt should first figure out if these women are married first.
So can I pause you real quick? There was a groupie situation. There
Yeah,
was a
go ahead.
crazy groupie situation going on in the 66 Batman show. Not only did he have the cool car, but he was basically banging all the fans. It was Bang Man and Robin,
Yeah.
basically. So continue, Drew. I just wanted
No,
to give some
no,
context to the
absolutely. And
situation.
so these guys had to really watch themselves and figure out, is this lady married and she's just taking off a ring? Does she have a tan line? We need to
Right.
find it out, because that's what Adam was telling Bert, was like, listen, before you get with these girls, wisdom to from Batman to
Yeah.
Robin, you need to make sure that these women are not married, because they are so trippy and freaky. They don't care. They want to come down here and get with us, but we got to make sure they're not dating anybody and they're not married. And Burt Ward's problem was just like, hey, man, I know I'm married, but I got all these women lined up. You know, I'm Robin, you know, I'm
I'm
the thing.
Batman.
And
I'm Batman.
so he came down there and did not
I got the hood up. I'm Batman.
care. He didn't care about these women, if they were married or not. He was going to go do what he does. And he was down there, unfortunately, laying down the pipe, you know, and not thinking about
Go get
these
your
women
dick.
were married. And if his wife knew what he had going on, because Burt Ward had been married a few times. So his wife started to find out, what the heck is he doing? What's going on? So of course they
Robin
didn't
was
like that.
running around on these hoes. Huh?
He was running around on all these ladies and he did not care. He did not care. And guys, I'm going to tell it to you like this. When they say the 60s was innocent and wholesome and the family values, yeah, they played it as they played the part in the TV show that they were representing. They played that part too, because reality was they were jumping out doing some wild things.
Where were the hippies, Joe? The hippies were in the 60s, so there was definitely
That's true.
blunts in rotation somewhere.
Oh, for sure, man. They were doing free love and everything else in between. It's just that they don't play that side up of these guys. You know, nobody ever would have known that Adam West and Burt Ward were going out doing that. And the other thing that you had brought up was, Burt Ward had a problem because when he did the show, he wore the little leafy green shorts. They said his bulge was too big, so they were trying to get him to take all these. He took some of the medication to make his bulge look a little bit smaller. They came up with different shorts to hide his bulge because they thought people would have a problem. And how that happened was this. They basically came up with a whole thing about that story because there was some sort of executive that just complained about the shorts. It was only him and only him alone. Nobody else said anything. No parents complained anything. So they were trying to work that out. And Burt Ward just got to the point where, like, you know what? Forget it. I just don't care. You know, if you guys are going to fire me from the show, fire me from the show, because I'm not going to be taking stuff to make me impotent or to sterilize me.
Yeah, like imagine if they put some sausage shrinking medication in your contract. Like, how do you negotiate that? Like, no deal, bro. I need all I can get out here. Like, what kind of shit is that? I've never heard nothing like that. That's crazy.
Absolutely. That's crazy. And think about it, if he's slaying all these women, that's gonna mess up his game. So I mean, he can't do
mess with the mojo in the contract. So that's nuts. I mean, to watch that show now and to know that, go watch a couple episodes in the 66 Batman with all the, you know, holy Black Christmas Batman, you know what I mean? Like, it's some dark stuff behind the scenes, you know what I mean? Like, this is nuts. There's a lot of fans of Batman back then. So all right, let's go into George Reeves. What happened with the George Reeves situation? Is there anything else with the Batman situation that we missed other than they were running through them?
They were running through all these women and they had women lined up. There was no woman at that time in the 60s that did not encounter Adam West and Burt Ward.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they had kicked out.
Hide your wife. You know?
Yeah. They had to hide their wives, hide their girlfriends from Adam West and Burt Ward because
once you go back, you don't go back, you know.
Hey, once you go bird, you know, you never jerk. But you know, hey, between those two guys, they were absolutely wild.
Yeah. And in the tidy whities, right? The yellow spandex. He had the onesie, basically, you know.
Yeah, they wanted him to. That's the thing. These girls wanted to put that suit on. He put the suit on. Adam put on the bat suit.
The freakazoid cosplay thing is real. I try to tell people these cosplay girls, man, are some of the freakiest things I've ever seen in my life at these Comic Cons. It's crazy. So that's why a lot of these guys, they enjoy those things. You know, the nerds get out from behind the keyboard and the cosplay girls start getting crazy. So, but keep going.
Absolutely.
So the bat brothel is like nuts. I'm trying to get my head around that. Like
It is
Adam
a
West,
trippy
man,
story. Yeah.
aka James Bond, you know. So then we got the Boulder situation going on. That's ridiculous.
It was wild, man. You know, who would have thought from that one show that was a very beloved, good family show that behind closed doors that they had all this going on. So let's say you had a teenage daughter that was a fan of Batman and you let her go on set to watch this show. Think about this, guys. All right. She's young. Let's say she's like, I don't know, 17 or something like that. And she gets around Burt Ward, you know, and he just sees a pretty girl, you know, like I'm not saying but I'm saying like
That's what I
things
mean.
can
No
happen.
one's safe. No one's safe. So that segue into the real kryptonite then.
Oh man.
So
So
Batman was no chance. Robin was no chance. Apparently Superman was no chance for the real kryptonite.
hey, Superman, we call this one Superman Real Kryptonite. The death
Yeah.
of George Reeves and his many ladies and mistresses. So we got to get to classic George Reeves, so we all know as the black and white Superman, the early color, the one that showed up on I Love Lucy to show up to little Ricky's birthday party and all that stuff like that. When Lucy got stuck on the ledge trying to pretend to be Superman to jump into the window, she got stuck up there and the real Superman had to show up to bail her out and get her through the window. This is our favorite George Reeves. And I feel bad for George Reeves because, you know, he was a struggling actor and he was living, you know, kind of like movie to movie and trying to figure out his place. He had the thing with Gone with the Wind, you know, reverse of, what's his name? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. But the main actor in Gone with the Wind, guys, forgive me, it's slipping my mind. Clark Gable. Thank you.
Okay,
in there. So he was the opposite to Clark Gable in that movie. And, you know, he did really well. He had a lot of things going on, you know, with that movie, which was cool. But he was also at the same time, he was not received as highly as Clark Gable was. So he had to kind of go around, try different parts. He did different things. Stuff wasn't really checking out until he got Superman, you know. But the problem with Superman that he had was that he felt that he was being typecast, you know. And if you guys know about acting, you know, typecast means like every time you do a part so long that they associate that with you. So when you go in to do other movies, you know, some people may not hire you because they're like, that guy's Superman. Like, I can't see him playing a killer.
They can't unsee you as that character.
Yeah. So a lot of people are scared of that, even to this day, to be typecast in certain roles in certain parts. So George had a problem with that. And not to mention when they first did the flight simulation to make him look like he was flying, the first one, he fell from the ceiling down to the ground. And so he was kind of a little checked out on Superman. The kids are what kept him going for that part. The kids really responded to him. So he kind of wanted to do things strictly for the kids after a while, even if the money was good or whatever. He was still kind of leery of the part because he felt he had done enough time with that to do other parts, which brings us to our main feature, which is George dated, you know, different ladies and things like that, but it was really one lady particularly that he had gotten involved with. I shall leave her name anonymous. And so he ended up dating her, but what Rican was pointing out was she was married to a guy that was connected with Hollywood, and he was kind of a mafia connected guy to the film industry, right? I guess this dude, not guess, but he had other women and he had other things going on, right? So he really couldn't be there for the wife so that he could do his stuff. The wife said she wanted something, and what she wanted was George Reeves. So she had George, and George was her boyfriend, boy toy, play around guy. And she would tell him that he could not go around with other women because she was also his benefactor. She supplied all the roles he did get in a lot of ways and all the money. And see, George could not get from out of her because on his own, all he really had was Superman. Not to say that he couldn't do other things, right? But that's all he could get on his own. She was making it possible for him, whether if he was doing Superman or Superman got canceled. He had money, he had title, he had a house, he had a car. She bought his car, she bought his house, she took care of him. Okay. Wow. So he owed her, right? So he had to be beholding to her. But you know, George was younger because she was, what was she? She was a lot older than George. I think she was like, she might have been a whole 15 years older than George.
Wow, so she was actually robbing the cradle.
She was 15 years older than George, actually.
That's
so
crazy.
She was you know, telling him like, hey, you know, when he got on the set, the original Lois Lane, the actress that played her, you know, she was telling George she's a lesbian. She's a lesbian. You don't have to worry about her. You can work with her, George, because she didn't want George to look at her like a possible attraction and do the Burt Ward, Adam West when she's not around on set, you know, taking her back. So George was like, okay. So she kept throwing wrenches at George because she didn't want George. She's an older lady. She didn't want to lose George. She bought him and did everything for him. I mean, she bought his groceries. She gave him spending cash.
So he was pimping, basically.
Yeah. He was pimping and getting pimped, you know, pretty much. That's what was happening. And he felt like
what led to his suicide and him, you know, well, apparently it was a suicide that was later, was it deemed a hoax, or was it a murder or a suicide?
Foul play was involved in this thing, and it's been talked about for years, and they've never solved this thing. They've reinvestigated this thing. And what happened was the missing factor was the police actually did not do things correctly. And that's what's throwing the wrench in it because, you know, that was a long time ago, right? So all they have are what's left of his house and the coroner reports, realistically, right? And anybody that may still be alive to a point to go on to talk about it. But a lot of those people have passed on because that was a really long time ago. We're talking, you know, the 50s and going back, and everybody was an adult or well-established adult at that time.
And who was he screwing? Who was he screwing that sent whoever it was, if he got murdered?
Okay, so there's two stories. There's two stories about that. The young lady that he did get involved with when he tried to leave his old mistress, they say a lot of time that she had something to do with it because George liked her. She liked George's money. Okay. She wasn't so much into George, madly in love with him. She's madly in love with the money. So she was it was said that she was basically knowing that George was depressed and suicidal. So they said that she kind of hyped him up to kind of take his own life. Or there's the other side of the story that she had somebody kill him. Okay. The other side of that is the older mistress that had the gangster husband that let her play the field and have a second, whatever. That he didn't like that his wife wasn't happy because he had taken off with this young girl, right?
Oh, okay.
And so he had hired a mafia guy to one of his guys to go in, and because George, they had a party at the house. That's what happened. Party at the house, right? And he had gone upstairs to go to sleep or something like that. He had enough partying and he gotten up and left. He went upstairs to his room and they heard gunshots, you know, go off. And that's when they found George. But they had said, like, when he had shot himself, that the bullet had gone up through the ceiling. So either he fired twice, which said there was no second shot coming from the gun that he had. Okay. So it said that that mafia guy or the current girlfriend had sent somebody waiting for him upstairs to get to him. They waited in the closet. They waited in the room when he got in there, and they got him. Now, there was talks of a tussle or something, possibly, from what some of the people that knew George and that were there that night, they believe that. And of course, the girlfriend that was there is just like, no, it was a suicide. You know, it was this because she doesn't want anybody to think whether she had anything to do with it or not, that it leads to her, right? So she's going to play it.
Well, can I pause you too? It's very interesting because the death is similar to Bruce Lee's, right? Wasn't Bruce Lee at his mistress' house when he died? He took some medication.
Yeah, he sure was.
He was at his mistress' house too. So it's like Superman, the original Superman, and Bruce Lee. You know, this whole mistress thing behind the scenes with them. Two huge legends. It's crazy to me.
Absolutely, you know? Rican. And real quick, there was a reason why he was known as Three-Leg Lee. And Bruce Lee's my hero. And I'm just being real. A lot of us that looked at the Bruce, we figured out why they called him Three-Leg Lee. There was kind of a problem with that because he did have a lot of ladies too. And he's from the 60s era. And he knew Burt Ward. They shared they lived in the same apartment complex.
Right, the KoD connection when they had the crossover episode.
Yeah, they knew each other and they were really good friends.
Yeah.
So see how that works is like,
Bruce Lee was the ladies' man. He was the ladies' man. They don't talk about it, but he was a sucker for the ladies.
Well, it's coming out now because his diary, Bruce Lee's, they call it the drug diaries of Bruce Lee, have just gotten released within the past, I don't know, 3-4 years. And it's Bruce's and Linda's writing, and they just come out and just say stuff in the journal. Like he bared all in that journal. And it's his handwriting. It's been authenticated. And it's like, I need more cocaine. I need more hash. Yeah, I need this from Bob Baker. It was a whole thing. So it was cocaine. It was hash.
Bruce was lit, man.
And it was these other women, you know. And so, you know, because it was said that let me think. It was I believe it was Steve McQueen's, one of his girlfriends of some sort had a thing for Bruce. And that had been rumored a long time. But then you see the Long Beach martial art competition, and she's sitting next to Bruce at that competition, right? She's in the audience. So it's like, well, wait a minute. So this random girl that everybody talked about, why is she sitting at Bruce's competition? And
side piece.
See, and see, this is what I'm saying. Between George Reeves, Bruce Lee, Adam West, Burt Ward, and others, they had other stuff going on. A lot of them had mistresses. And wait a minute, you got to look at these men, they're dogs. Hey. Some of those women, we're going to get into it. And maybe the next couple of videos, some of these women, they had husbands and fiancés.
Well, yeah, because the success clouds it. They don't care. These women, they want to get picked. They're going to always scratch the better lottery ticket.
Yeah, a lot of these women had stuff going on and had hidden affairs as well. So doesn't matter, guys or girls, that fame came in, and next thing you know, they're doing some wild stuff. See, this is what it gets down to. And back on George, so it's said to be a suicide. And this is where things get cloudy. Is the law enforcement came in. Yeah, the law enforcement came in and just like went through real quick, rule as a suicide, did no deep investigation whatsoever, and just signed it out as a suicide and walked away from the thing. Okay. So they never looked into all this stuff. We found out all this stuff through people later, and I mean years later, because nobody talked about it. People on the Superman set had felt that there was more foul play involved than what was said, but at the time, it was a sealed and deal case. And back then, when law enforcement, see, people talk about old school, and it's like, no, old school law enforcement was this. A lot of times, if they wanted to make stuff go away, a lot of that stuff went away. And if you ask me on my personal opinion, I think George was killed. I think he was. I think he had it in for him with those two ladies in that situation, especially the older lady, because the house, the car, the money, the everything. And he left that lady to go with this young girl. And she says, I'll cut off the allowance and I'll cut off the money and no more parts and no more this. Yeah. Right. So that's motive right there to be upset. And this is top gangster's wife that's allowing you to have this relationship, and you're keeping her happy when he can't keep her happy. You keep her happy. Now she's not happy. Now he's got problems. You don't think he's going to come see you? You don't think he's going to come deal with things? You don't think there was conversations about, hey, get in line. You know, you're getting it good. You know, just stay right here. You don't have to move out like that. And then he didn't want to do it. No, I'm my own man. I could stand on my own, and I got a beautiful girlfriend, and you can't tell me. You think they're going to let that slide? An old school
The mob killed Superman.
Yeah, I think that they did. I've always said that George Reeves died because of that situation. Rican, what are your thoughts? What do you think? You saw the proof. What do you think?
I watched the video. I think he definitely could have got caught up with the wrong people. And I know, look throughout history. Look at Helen of Troy. Look at situations where women have caused whole empires to fall. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
people, people have lost so much more for less. So it's like when it comes to women, some men will ride or die for theirs, whether the woman is right or wrong. So
Absolutely.
I think women have to be careful when they do stuff like that because, I mean, here's the thing: when a woman cheats, you actually like the dude. You know what I'm saying? You gotta emotionally get attached. He's got to do some work for the most part, unless you're a skeezer and you don't care, and you're moving out here in your masculine energy and you're kind of just throwing it at whoever you want to throw it at. But for the most part, it hurts men more when their significant other goes somewhere else because that means they grew slowly over time in communication to like that person.
Yeah.
Before you let him enter you and cheat on me, you actually liked him. So if the dagger goes a little deep. Now, men, we can use our other head and, keep that woman out of our heart. You know what I'm saying? She can mean absolutely nothing to us. And we're basically using her, to stroke our ego in more ways than one. You know what I mean? So it's a different dynamic when that stuff happens. So I can see how having the fame of being Batman would make you feel untouchable in that world. You can kind of say yes to whatever you want. But as you can see, you can't go around destroying families and doing that kind of stuff with no type of karma. So regardless if the mob killed him or whatever happened, it sounds like he was destroying families, screwing people's wives. You know what I mean? Living that crazy lifestyle, you get caught up with the wrong people. This type of stuff can happen. So he either got killed or he, knew they were gonna come kill him. So he took himself out maybe before they could get him on his terms. Like, you don't really know, but it sounds like what he was into, that might have been the only outcome for him if he was in with them type of people. So it's a scary thing, fame and fortune, man. People want what you
Yeah.
got. You got power, you got influence. You got to be careful with that type of energy. So when you told me this story, I was like, wow, Superman and Batman got some wild shit going on. And
Yeah.
what's cool because we're gonna cover basically the comic book side, the culture side of behind the camera. Drew's got some history in film. I'm making a movie now, and we're doing our thing together. So we're gonna take the man cave to kind of dive into some of our favorite movies, what happened behind the scenes, controversy, from like a true crime type of vibe, like from an investigative, like did you know type of energy, because a lot of people watch these franchises and they're so beloved and there's so much crazy shit that happens behind the scenes that led up to these type of stories and these type of things that people always remember with these movies and these songs and all this stuff. So um it's cool because it's something I never heard, but it's not cool what happened to these guys, that people got hurt and killed and families got destroyed. But it's interesting to know that there's a dark evil side of Hollywood no matter what. So you got to go with the right circle, have the right people behind you. It's the devil's playground. You knock on the door, is somebody gonna answer you? So make sure you're ready to answer that call. But for the most part, wild stuff, Drew. Wild stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, but I am that it's something I didn't know that's so old. That's what surprised me. But I'm not
Yeah.
surprised of what it was about. You know what I mean? So crazy stuff. So that sums up the Batman brothel and the Reeves situation. I mean, Superman
Except for
got
one thing, buddy. Did you
washed
see
by
that?
the mob.
Remember the bullet? They said it went up. Remember?
Oh
Went
yeah,
up
yeah,
through him, and then it hit ping, 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 and then
yeah.
did all that. I was like, bullets don't do that.
So where do you
Not like
think
that.
he got shot from? Behind?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because the coroner report is as flaky as flake can get. So
Hmm.
flaky, it's ridiculous. Who the heck signed off on this coroner report? Who the heck signed off on this police report and said this
Yeah.
is professional and this is good without going, hold on a second, this doesn't look right. We need to
Yeah.
really look at this
And
thing.
back then it would have been easy because it was old times.
Old times, they
Like
can make
older
stuff go
times.
away. No
Yeah.
modern technology, no digging for detective skill. Like things could be corrupted and changed in many ways where we would in 5 seconds figure that out. But back then you could get away with it. You know, that's why people are missing from way back when, because people could do that stuff back then. You know, it was easier to do. So that's the thing that makes this really, really, really disturbing and sad.
Yeah,
You
crazy.
know,
Well, I mean, do you want to go into the comics a little more? How long are these man cave shows going to be? About an hour?
hey, there as long
Hour
as
and
we
a
can run with it. So I
half.
know
Okay,
that you had some stuff,
I
you know,
did.
as well. So I know you wanted to talk about your guy for the music
Well,
music
yeah.
portion.
Before we get to the music, we're on DC, so um, let's kind of talk some current stuff. That was kind of the throwback stuff. I
Right.
mean, we kind of didn't. Did we cover DC last time? I don't think we covered any DC or Marvel stuff lately. Since we've done the new situation on Rumble. So, um, like you said, we got that George Reeves Superman situation we told you guys about, and the current situation is coming full circle. We got a new iteration of Superman about to drop.
Yes.
Um, and DC needs a hit, man. DC needs. I feel like they're coming full circle. Um, do you think we're gonna get cinematic universe quality type of stuff just because we have James Gunn, who is a former Marvel director? Or do you think some of that Marvel treatment James Gunn has is going to spill over to the DC stuff? What do you think about that, bro? You got
Here's
faith
what
in Gunn or what?
it's tough because James Gunn, he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, he could. But the problem with James Gunn is in some of his decisions, they could be really good or a
Mm-hmm.
little off. And depending on what DC, it really gets down to what DC is allowing. Okay.
Right.
Are they going to give him free reign? Does he deserve to
Mm-hmm.
have free reign, or does he need to be controlled a little bit or completely controlled to do this? Now, what we know of Marvel is they kind of let him do his thing, from what I understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then that can work to their advantage. But here's the thing about that is, what does that look like in a Superman world? You
Right.
know, because him having full reign of something like that could clearly make a super bad problem. Code word super bad problem for
Right.
Superman. You could end up with a movie that is a mess. You could end up with a movie that is really good. It's hard for me to see this guy uh, as compared to Henry Cavill. I felt
Yeah, I
Cavill.
like Cavill as Superman. And honestly, broski, like the suit is not really hitting for me.
No,
I'm
it's not.
not. I'm not. It's got Kingdom Come vibes. It's got a little bit of retro. I mean, I would have did a variation of some of the animated suits. I would have looked at all the different variations throughout the years and really added like elements and pieces of all of them and kind of give us something new, but also in remembrance and homage of kind of all the suits we've had up
Yeah,
at this point. And it would have been so much more dope for me. So there's a lot riding on DC. I don't really know what's going on after Superman. Do you? I know there's I don't know if there's any more Peacemaker. I think Peacemaker's dropped. We talked about Wonder Woman 3 not knowing what's going on. I don't think you got any Cyborg coming. We talked about some Green Lantern real quick. So DC's got a lot of work to do, bro. Now, back to the Marvel side, what we didn't cover yet, I forgot to tell you. Even though it is Marvel, it's more of the Sony verse because we got Craven on the way,
oh
right?
yeah, you're right. The
So
guy
let's
that,
talk about
yeah,
that. This just in. I
yeah,
saw the preview the other day, and I'm like, oh, I gotta chop up with Drewski about this because we've been covering everything so far, multiple platforms. This is what we do. We keep y'all engaged. Now, Sony is basically banking on Spider-Man so much that they're diving into his villains, spin-off characters. Madam Web was a flop. Where are you at with the Sony verse? I know we chopped up with Marvel. We said Midnight Suns was their future.
Yeah.
right? They got the Doom Downey situation. We covered that. They got the Blade resurgence. So Marvel's in a good spot. And then now Sony wants some skin in the game with the Spider-Verse, the live action Spider Sony verse. The Venom movies print money, the Carnage movies, they got the symbiotes, right? Do you think giving the Sinister Six movies leading up to a Spider-Man reboot is kind of where they're going? Because to me, I'm getting Sinister Six vibes. We got the Rhino in this movie, right? Craven is definitely one of the. Is he one of the Sinister Six? I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Craven,
But
yeah, he's part of that group.
is he? Okay,
Mhm.
so I know it changes in different runs in the comics. The Sinister Six
True,
changes,
he's been a part
but
of it.
Craven has spent time, and he's a heck of a villain. I think it's cool that the Hunter thing, hunting Spider Man. I've always liked the '90s animated cartoon version of Craven. Like every time Craven showed up on the scene, I think Venom and Spider Man teamed up one time and took on Craven. So I have the famous Craven key with the black suit, Spidey suit. I got, so there's a lot of books that are specking now because of the movie. Where you at with the Spidey Sonyverse, homie? Do you think they've got a shot to be contenders and run parallel? Are we gonna have a big three when it comes to Marvel, DC, and Sony, or are they barking up the wrong tree with giving the villains their own spin-offs?
The villains could have their own spinoffs, but it's the wrong company.
Right.
Through Sony, I don't think it's going to be as successful because, like Venom, his initiation made money because it's Venom, but that second time around, it was a little bit more of a harder sell,
Right.
because people had saw what they did with Venom, and so they
Mhm.
said, okay, is this going to be the future of Venom? Is this, you
Right.
know? And so with Craven, who's a well-known Spider-Man villain, but not on a mass market level. If you
No.
watch the cartoon show and you watched it enough where you're a fan, you know who he is. If you read the comic books and read when Craven was running around doing his thing, you know who he is. As a mass hero villain on a high level, when it comes to Spider-Man, people always think Venom, Green Goblin all the time.
Right. Right.
Venom,
Those
Green
two main
Goblin,
two. Maybe
everybody
Mysterio.
else, right? On a mass market level, people aren't going to know those characters.
Venom.
Mysterio became known because of the Spider-Man movie. What was it? No Way Home.
Mm.
One of the No Way Home deals. He was in that. And even with that, Spider-Man fans were excited to see him to a lot of levels. But Mysterio doesn't really bring home the money like
No.
Green Goblin and Venom do.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the problem. Those are your two villains that always sell.
Yeah.
And with them doing this with Sony and not in league with Disney and Marvel's setup, it's going to be way different. And I don't know if it's really going to lock up to be an amazing film. Now, they could always surprise you, but just on their track record alone, unless they cut a deal where Marvel is working more on hand with Sony to give it an authentic taste
Or
when it gets,
cameo. Go some Tom Holland or
yeah,
some
if
Tobey
they're doing,
Maguire.
if they're really trying to build that in a certain way, then yes, it could work. But I don't know. We just don't know what plans they have for Craven with connection with Venom or any variation of Spider-Man, if not all of
Yeah.
them.
It's a crapshoot. It really is. Because the kid looks the part. It looks like he's playing it and acting it good. He's in shape. A lot of action. It looks like it's rated R. There's some blood. There's some gore. It's definitely an adult movie. Now,
Right.
Madam Web was so trash that I'm scared with anything that
That's where I'm
Sony
getting to.
puts
Yeah.
out with like Spider-Man. So it's like, and even the Venoms was like, huh. So it was like, if you guys don't figure some kind of way to get Spider-Verse, like to bring it cohesively together by getting Spider-Man over there somehow, by having Tom Holland pop up or Toby or even Andrew,
Yeah.
and working with Marvel to kind of mend that, it's gonna be a mess. I completely agree with you. So
That's where we just at this point, boys and girls, we just got to see. We got to watch it, and we
Yeah.
got to see. Unless
I
they
mean,
throw out some big trailer hints, unless somebody really gives something of the plot that really stands out, and then it kind of separates that. But until
yeah.
then, we got to see it.
Well, there's proof that you're right because in No Way Home they brought back 3 Spider-Man. They did the multiverse thing, and who was there? The Green Goblin. He's
Yeah.
his Joker. You know what I'm saying? So he's definitely a big villain. Now, I think the Sinister Six has to happen
Oh,
because one villain's not
yeah.
enough. Now you got to eat off of all 6 of them, and to have Vulture, Rhino, so you know who else is in there? It's all interchangeable.
Vulture.
Shocker, right? They
It's
did the
been
Shocker
a
thing.
while, but it's let's see, Vulture, Rhino, Craven's a part of it.
Is
Uh,
Mysterio in there? I don't think so.
no, he wasn't part of the 6. He might have been in another
Oh,
iteration.
Doc Ock. Doc Ock,
Doc Ock, of course, is one. Um,
right?
Gosh,
That was No Way Home as well. We had the return of Doc Ock. We had
forgive me,
the
guys. I got to
return
look it up.
of
It's
the
been a while since
Goblin.
I've looked at the Sinister Six. I know, Drew, you're the comic book guy. I'm like, do you know how much is out there? And my focus was really, as far as Marvel goes, was on the X-Men. If you asked me this about the X-Men, I could tell you who was on Team Blah, because I spent most of my time there. Spider-Man, I jumped into, I went to his retro stuff, and then I came in here and there. So you guys are going to have to bear with me. Hold on.
Well, here's what I think Sony should do. You had the 3 Spider-Men come together. I think all contracts should be negotiated to get Garfield, Holland, and Toby, or at least Garfield and Toby together with another multiverse move and have them fight the Sinister Six.
Okay, so now it's clicking back to me. The original 6 were Craven, Mysterio, Doc Ock, Vultureman, Sandman, and Electro.
Sandman.
That's what
That's what we were
like.
missing.
Hey, it's a little hazy, Sandman, Electro, because they've changed, they've gone, they've
Added members, dropped members.
It's
But
been a while. If you're
I
a
think they're
diehard
gonna try to,
Spider-Man fan, you would know.
yeah, and I think they're gonna try to recreate the No Way Home energy with the Sinister Six, and then bring back as many Spider-Man again. I think they're gonna try to recreate that by building up the Sinister Six. So, I mean, what do we got going on, Indie? I saw a poster for a Henry Cavill Highlander. I don't know if that was true or if that was
They've
fan
been
made.
talking about that. They've been talking about that for a while, and I'm a big fan of the Highlander series. I was a big fan of the original movie. I've seen all the movies. I've watched the entire television series with Adrian Paul. I've met Adrian Paul.
Right.
I even had one time the Highlander katana.
Grace, that could be a crazy movie or show if they do that right.
They do. So that's something we got to look at. I mean, it could be new life for Henry Cavill.
Well, keep an eye on the video game movies. We got Borderlands, I think, came and went, or it's out now.
It's out now, and I haven't heard good things about it.
Yeah. So let's see what they start doing, beating up franchises. Me and Drew, I think, are going to do a review on Aliens. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. We're going to do the Alien Romulus review.
Yes.
And bring it back for the next lounge. Give us a week. I think it just dropped. So we're gonna do that in the next couple of days. Because we actually right. We've been talking. We might do a little alien writing and see if we can have some redemption with some of Drew's alien people. Because we got some ideas with the Colonial Marines. Kind of like some Starship Troopers, energy and getting some things going and seeing if we can kind of get a legwork with 20th Century Fox and see what's up with that franchise. Because we're hearing Power Rangers is dead. We may need something back up to write to get us going, to get some money to save PR. So we're going to be multifaceted with the writing and the producing. I think those 2 movies we're going to focus on as an entity, So yeah, Aliens looks good. What do you think about the preview? Did you see it?
I've seen all the previews. It does look good. It looks scary. So it looks like they brought their teeth back to make it what the first Alien was, to bring back the horror,
right.
To really kind of bring the suspense and the horror to a high level. It actually looks like, it looks scary. Like I was like kind of like gripping the seat, looking at the
return of the face hugger,
Yeah, and it was done really graphically, deeply, and disturbing. So I'm like, oh man,
Mhm.
because my biggest fear, guys, is the xenomorph. Like since I was a kid, like I can
Oh
deal with
yeah.
it better, but it's a freaky thing. So for me to see the xenomorph, it naturally terrifies me. Real quick story: I was at uh, Disney World when they had the Hollywood Grauman's Chinese Theater ride, where they took you
Oh
through
yeah.
all the different movies, great
Hmm.
movies of the time. And one of them was Alien, and they took you through a reenactment of the set, and it was done to the top T
Hmm.
perfectly. They had the
Hmm.
spacesuits. I mean, it was all real stuff. And then they have an alien on top of the ceiling that lunges out. But then they got one that pops up. So if you're sitting right here, that thing will pop up next to you with the mouth coming out and the
Oh
animatronic
yeah.
clean as clean can get. And I remember because I had not beaten my fear of the xenomorph because I was 13 at the time. And I remember
Hmm.
telling my brother, I was like, get up, move, 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 move. Because I was
Hmm.
sitting right here and something told me that thing was going to go. So if I sit in the middle, it's not going to get me either way. And I
Hmm.
jumped. I remember I jumped and sat in the middle. People were laughing. Almost knocked my brother over and one of my sisters. And
Hmm.
I closed my eyes as we went by because I just did. I couldn't face it.
You know what
That's
they
how
remind me
scared.
of? You
What's
know
that?
what they remind me of, Drew?
What's
The
that, buddy?
raptors from Jurassic Park. In a type of way, like the way
In
that they
some way.
hunt, the fear that they instill, they're like alien raptors to me. They're ruthless, and then the acid blood, even if you kill one, you can die or go
From the
blind or
acid
really hurt
exposure,
yourself
yeah.
just with the acid blood. So you can't even get the blood on you. They're terrifying.
They're terrifying.
And
They're
then
super strong. They're tall. They're
they
lightning
can
fast.
jump. Yeah, they can
Yeah, they
jump.
could
It's
climb
like,
walls. They could stick to walls. They could go on the
yeah,
ceiling. They
yeah.
got a
So the
tail that's
xenomorph,
sharp.
I don't know if you remember, there was a ride in Epcot called Alien Encounters in the
I
90s.
went on Alien Encounter. Yeah,
Early nine, I think it was early 90s,
it
right?
was right
Last
because I
time I
was there
went when I
right in
was a kid.
'97 when it was only maybe a year or two old, if that. It might have been just a year old. I went in it and it was terrifying. It was
That
terrifying.
ride was terrifying, bro. The sound effects were so great. Let me tell you guys a story. I went twice. It was so terrifying. I had to go again. It scared the shit out of me. But it was so good that I went right back in the line and went again because I couldn't believe that it wasn't real.
Yeah.
My dad said, look, he turned around when the ride was over. There was rubber fingers in the seat that came out and they would rub your hair so the thing would make it seem like he touched you. So my dad showed me after it was done to calm my fear because I was so scared. But it was all technology within the seat. It was a super advanced seat. All the sound effects. It was
Yes,
a
and it
surround
pulled down
system.
around you like
Yeah,
this.
when it killed the guy in the rafters, the sprinkler would throw water on you like it was
Yeah, and it
blood.
felt like blood dropping right at the right
Yeah,
time. It
and
was
the
all
ground, it used to shoot air in your neck when it
yeah,
was breathing down your neck. So it
yeah,
was a very, very good technological ride that really played with your senses and the thrill and fear of an alien that could dismember you and eat you and do all this stuff. It had xenomorph vibes. If there was
yeah.
anything close to feeling the fear of a xenomorph chasing you or dealing with it, I mean, the lights would go out and you hear it walking around and the
Oh
things
yeah,
bleeding. That, I mean, go watch a video. Hopefully, there's something online
there is.
about alien encounters. If you
Mhm.
guys are feeling, frisky, go research it. It's about one of the greatest rides Epcot has ever had. I loved it.
And I
But
got some for you, Rican. I got some for you. My brother in England, he had been to they had a reenactment of walking through an infested area of aliens, and you had colonial marines that protected you as you walked through, but some of them would get
oh man,
grabbed. And
oh
you would
man,
walk
that's crazy.
through, and there was people in suits, and they would crack open the floor, jump out of the
Yeah.
floor, grab a marine,
The way
grab
they swarm is
yeah,
terrifying. That's what
that
it
was
is.
the
And
thing.
then our movie, Drew, we're gonna get a little predator in there, some hierarchy. You can put them together. So That'll be crazy. You know, they haven't really done it in that franchise the way they could really do it. You know what I mean? So hopefully we could get some traction with that. So yeah, let's close it out with you want to do some music stuff, or what do you
Yeah,
think?
you got your music thing going. So you want
Okay.
me to pull it? You want me to pull that one we got up here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
How are we doing this? I mean, yeah, pull it up. Let's see what you got shared. Is this the Troutman video?
Yeah, it's the one where he talks about where he got it from, because you got some expertise in this style of music, of a certain
Okay.
type of music that people use today, right?
Okay, so yeah, let me do a quick intro. Basically, guys, me and Drew are gonna close out the man cave today, because I'm also a music guy in the low. I do a little rapping, some singing, some writing, some producing, and I want to talk about where the game is at as a whole. You know, a lot of people are auto tuning, a lot of people are biting off each other. I mean, I swear, you listen to the radio, it sounds like the same song, you know, for 12 minutes, because it's, you know, they all sound the same. You know, it's hard to tell who's who anymore. Everybody's auto tuning. So I wanted to get into the history a little bit. So here's one of the so-called founders or originators of auto tuning, and pay close attention to his influences, because as soon as I told Drew, hey, we're going to cover this guy and, you know, talk about music origin a little bit and get into the game, he's like, well, you know, he got it from someone else, and I didn't even know. So check this out. Let's
Voice
dive
box.
a little bit.
The first time I ever heard it, you were doing it, and you've used it in most of your stuff. Why? Let's see. I had heard it with Peter Frampton and a couple other artists, and I would use it before we had hit records, playing in nightclubs, doing cover songs. And every time I would use the voice box, people would be dancing until I use it. And when I started using it, they would look up and they would seem to hypnotize them in a way. Yeah. And it really works. Watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Video Soul, and it makes you feel good. Yes, it does. Don't you believe it?
Now, I found out about Zap
But yeah, I always use it on I was really using it like on songs like when we first started, it was like more pounds, more pounds, much more mama, baby. And you know, it just seemed to work, and started using it on
right. So we
cover
play
songs
I
like
Wanna
Heard
Be
It Through
Your
the
Man.
Grapevine. Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know, people started saying, well, you know, you can't sing, man. What you're trying to prove, you're kind of trying to do shit, that's a gimmick, blah, 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 blah. So I said, well, I'm just going to turn the whole thing around, and I'm going to do a love song with it. And that's when we came out with the penetrating, syrupy jam that came out like
So you guys get the hit, right? You got Roger Troutman.
Baby, you're my computer love. Digital love. And you know, it just seemed to it gave the.
So now let's go to did he say who his influencer? I missed it, Drew.
Peter Frampton. Yeah, he named it.
It was more in the beginning.
So let's get to Peter Frampton.
So
this guy is a rock legend. I'm into rock music. Yeah, and this guy's a rock legend.
Right.
Yeah, he's a rock legend. So I was
now,
a little hurt when they ripped him off.
This is the originator. According to Drew, I thought it was Roger Troutman.
No. Peter Frampton in the 70s.
So yeah.
And he really used it on the Alive album, yeah. Got it set.
All right, so I got it set. Here's the originator now.
Talk box or the voice box, or some people call it the mouth wah or the robotic voice, or the tube. Play the tube. Come with me. Let me show you how it works. I play the notes here on my guitar. The sound travels down this cable and into my amplifier. I hit the talk box button, and the sound goes from the amp into the talkbox driver, which forces the sound of the guitar up the tube, up the mic stand to my mouth, and then I talk into the microphone.
And that's how it works, the talkbox.
Beautiful.
Do you feel like we do?
The original funk.
Well, this is the talkbox, or the voice box.
All right.
Or some people call it the mouth wah-wah.
So, all right, you could drop the tab back down, Drew. We pretty much covered the 2 videos. So let's cook about that.
Yeah.
And now, what year are we talking about here with Pat and Troutman? The difference? How did this happen? You know, who bit who? How did this work?
Let me get the exact date for you in the 70s when Peter did the live album. Let me see.
So a lot of people don't know. I mean, everyone thinks it's the T-Pain effect, and that T-Pain is definitely where the culture shifted and the comeback came from. But the original alteration of your voice and sound effect and that type of tone came from these fellas, from this era, you know, the early 70s, I'm going to say, right? Because Zapp and Roger is late 60s, early 70s, if I'm correct, you know.
Well, there is a little bit of dispute, guys. My head's been a little hazy. Joe Walsh was always in the running with Frampton for using that. So, and that's another rock legend. So you had Joe Walsh, and then you had Frampton, and then because he used it on the Rocky Mountain Way. So it's always been a dispute between those two. Now, I will say this, but Frampton took it and really built a house on that thing.
Right.
You know, like Walsh used it, and he used it in songs, but he never really took it to a level. It was just something somebody
who had the best music with it? You know,
Frampton really took it and used it a lot and really kind of put that out there. And he literally made that box. Like Joe Walsh he came up with the technique to use, but Frampton branded it, and he was the guy that really put that in motion. That's why he gets more of the talk when it comes to that, because Joe Walsh used it, but he never really branded the thing the way Frampton did. And Frampton used it a lot, and he created that box. You know, it says the Frampton box on it, and he's known for that. None of it says, like, people say, oh, the Walsh sound. Yeah, you know, but he was known for really trippy guitar patterns, okay, more so. And Frampton, who had his own guitar patterns, but he used that. He still uses it to this day. You know, it's never changed. He built the house on that. As far as I'm concerned, you could say both guys, both rock legends, I will say, and both that I do own albums of, you know, and I'm in the rock world, and I'm telling you guys, that Talkwa, that whole effect launched what you guys have in this hip hop scene, which I don't know much about the hip hop scene, but I do know that I heard that throughout the 80s. Now people still use it, but they don't really credit Frampton or Walsh for
they don't even know. That's why I said let's show them, because a lot of people don't even know that this auto-tune effect even goes back that old. You know, where people had a tube in their mouth like a bunch of weirdos. A lot of people don't know that. You know, so this was kind of a cool way to bring y'all in the man cave. And I'm such a music fan. It's like, yeah, all this auto tune you hear, like this was an innovation back in the day.
It was.
So, you know, music, everything comes full circle. So, I mean, I think it's awesome. I just think it's saturated now. You know, there's really too much of that going on. It's really how you do it. So I don't mind a little auto tune as long as there's some substance going on in the music a little bit.
Absolutely.
You know, so I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at. Bring back the good writing, bring back the hooks. I don't mind the auto tune if it's done correctly, because when you got a good melody and you got some melodic stuff and you got some catchy bars, it can be good and infectious music. But you got to know your history, you know, and let's mix some medicine with the food. Let's get the substance back in the music a little bit. So, yeah, bud, wherever you want to go, you want to close this out, you want to get into something else. I mean, you're the leader of the new lounge, the man cave is
Let's
here.
see,
So
we got this going. I think we should close it off here and
yeah.
come back with even greater stories and greater times.
Let us know what to cover in the comments too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Hit
Absolutely.
us up.
And I got to end this thing right. I got to do it right completely, guys. We want to give a shout out to your girl, Renee, for believing in us and allowing us to have this. We hope that we didn't let you guys down, that we did some good stuff, and that the audience really likes it and wants to see more of us. We want to give a shout out to Knights of the Dragon, everything that we do, all the people that come out to show us support and love. We're very grateful, very thankful for all of it.
Yes, sir. We don't Rise of the Ninjetti, you already know.
I say, put God first in everything that I do, and I try to do that and be an upstanding guy the most I can be, as well as have fun with all you guys and girls out there. So let's do this like the classic days of the 60s. Will Rican and Drew survive the explosion that the Penguin set up? Will we make it out? Will we be in charge of the next episode? Will it happen? What's going to happen next time? Will the Batmobile blow up? Will the Batmobile survive? We don't know. But what we can say is tune in next time, boys and girls. Same lounge time, same lounge channel. Dun, 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 to be continued. We'll see you guys next time.
We are the man cave.
That's right. Man.